What is up, guys? It's a windy night here in Jerusalem. It's also a very active night, it seems. There's a lot of cars here on my block. Our neighbors are having a whole shindig over here. Looks like some kind of get together. So I want to talk today about the very, the thing that's on everybody's tip of everybody's tongue. This whole situation with George Floyd. You guys heard there? An African American man was murdered by police officers a couple of days ago, and it's not right. It's a big problem. Not just a problem. It's a continuation of something that's been happening in America for a while, and I want to speak about it. But I want to speak about it from a little bit of a different perspective. When these gentlemen stop making their noise on the streets, I want to speak to you guys about it from the perspective of what's going to be with the Jewish people in America. And you may be asking yourself, how is any of this relevant? Well, I'll tell you how it's relevant. I'm talking to you guys from the perspective of a person who came to the United States with his family in 1987, who settled in Brooklyn and lived in Brooklyn from 1987 to 1992. So you guys could imagine, at that time, New York in general, late 80s, early 90s, and even early 80s, was not the safest place. Especially for a kid, Russian Jewish kid, walking. Doesn't matter what street he's walking, whether it's Gravesend, Sheepshead Bay, Brighton Beach, or Crown Heights, or wherever. And there was a lot of kind of racial tensions. And I remember back in the day, at some point, I don't know if you guys ever seen there was a show done by put on by the comedian Jackie Mason. It was called the Jackie Mason Show. It was a talk show. And if you guys go on YouTube and you Google the Jackie Mason Show, you will find that half of the episodes, or maybe almost all the episodes, basically are about race relations in America. And how are they about race relations in America? What are they actually covering? What was the context of the show? The context of the show was basically a bunch of African Americans got together. African Americans, some whites, and a few Jews, leaders in the community. And I actually remember the guy you see today who's fighting anti-Semitism, Dov Hikind. He was a younger guy back then, so he went on the show. He came on the show. Or he was one, I guess, in the audience. He was commenting in the audience and stuff like that. And so basically, you had so to speak, self-professed leaders from the African American community. You had people like Al Sharpton. I don't think Farrakhan was there. There were other people from the community. And what did they do? They would basically have a discussion, a very heated discussion, a very contentious discussion, but a discussion nonetheless. And what did they really do? What they did was they aired their grievances against, or rather that they had with the members of the, so to speak, other community or other race or other creed or other religion, whatever it is. And it's interesting what happened. And this show was not the only show where these conversations were being had. I think on Oprah you had these conversations, open conversations about the issues that, and I remember it was like, I think it was Maury Povich, and there was another guy, Richard Bay, and it was Ricky Lake. They would invite, guys from KKK. They would invite these people and that people. And people used to air grievances that they had of the other race. And then I remember what started happening. I remember I was like in my teens, early teens, in high school. Little by little, you saw race relations getting better. Yeah, or they started to kind of get better, I'd say in the mid 90s to late 90s, and then going into, when Bush was president, and basically all the way up to basically pretty much Obama got elected. To where I think the race relations were probably the best they ever were in America from, I would say, the mid 90s until the early 2000s, until 2007, 2006, 2008, something like that. And why was that the case, my friends? Because, I'll tell you, I'll use an analogy. When a person has a psychological issue, psychological and emotional issue, like a clinical problem, right? Usually, in order to solve it, what does he do? Or in order to help him heal, or in order to treat, at least treat it, if not to completely solve it, to completely eradicate it, he goes to a therapist and he does verbal therapy. He talks out his issues. He talks and talks and talks until, everything is aired out. And then he goes and he talks to the person he has a problem with, and then he talks to them, and even if it's difficult, even if it's contentious, even if it sounds uncomfortable, right? In this case, even if it sounds racist and hateful, people talk things out, and then you can have the emet, the emes, the truth, and then you can begin to heal. So, my friends, let's look at what's been going on in the last, 12 years in the Western world, and in America especially. People have either lost the ability to talk, or they have been muzzled by the PC culture, and any issue that, let's say a white person would have with African Americans, or even if that person is wrong, even if what he's saying is wrong, even if he's a racist, right? Or any issue somebody had with Jewish people, or any issue anybody had with Asian people, any issue anybody had with anybody else, that issue has been taken, it has been swept under the rug. It's been either swept under the rug, people are pretending it's not there, it's been ignored, it's been muzzled because of PC culture. And then what happens is, when you keep stuff inside, when things finally do happen, when something does happen, that stuff just boils over, and then we have a storm of you-know-what. The stuff hits the fan, and you don't want to be around for that, my friends. And this is what's happening right now in America, my friends. America is sick. It is psychologically and emotionally sick from this issue called race relations. It hasn't been able to get over it since basically the year 1865, since the abolition of slavery. In some pockets they've tried, some little moments in time and windows of time, maybe the 60s, maybe the 70s, a little bit in the 80s, people tried, they really tried. But what I notice is the only time it's really, really kind of made any progress is when people are given the unfettered and abashed and unchecked ability to basically just air out their grievances, my friends, with the other group. I'm telling you, you guys want to see something? Go on YouTube and Google the Jackie Mason Show, and you could type in race relations, something like that. You're gonna see white people saying stuff that black people do. You can't even believe, and you'll say, "Oh, what a horrible thing to say! These guys are racist." Yes, they're racist. Yes, they are really racist. And black people saying stuff at white people, and black comedians saying stuff at white people, and white comedians saying stuff at black people, and everybody's racist. And you know what? You know what the magic of this whole thing is? Everybody's racist, and somehow people stopped killing each other, and people stopped hating. Race relations got better and better and better. Had gotten better and better until a certain point, until basically Obama became president. And he basically came in, and now, it's revenge time, as it were. My friends, just when we were getting started, just when we were beginning to heal, a guy comes in and he again divides the nation, and now we have, obviously, the president that America elected is the reaction to Obama. He's the reaction to Obama, to the other side of the pendulum. And now, of course, you have this whole thing of despite the fact that this president has done the best thing for African American employment ever. Now we have people just running around calling everybody else racist. But the thing is, like, we don't know who's racist and who isn't. You know why? Because we don't actually have conversations with each other. We talk past each other. There's no actual, people are not allowed to air their grievances. They're not allowed to say the problems. They're not allowed to express the problems they have with the other. A white person's not allowed to come and say, well, here's a problem I have with the way X behaves. These X group of people behaves. Not everybody. Some people, black people are, maybe they're kind of doing it. They're allowed. They're given carte blanche. Fine. No one else is, and we're not having the conversation. People are bottling things inside, if you guys know anything about psychology, bottling stuff inside, all that's going to happen is at some point you just explode, right? You just explode, and it's not a healthy situation. And then that's where the actual anger and violence and everything else boils over and spills over, and that's when we get what we get, my friends. And I just want to tell you that I'm observing everything that's going on with vis-a-vis the Jewish community in America, and I can tell you guys, when this thing boils over, and it really will, when people are allowed to leave their homes fully after Corona, this thing is going to boil over, and unfortunately, the Jewish people are going to get caught up in the middle of all this, and they're going to be blamed for part of it, if not all of it. Because at the end of the day, we had the ability to really start the conversation on this. If you look at who's running the media, listen, I'll tell you guys, I'll be the first to tell you, and I hate to agree with Louis Farrakhan on this, who's running all the media companies, who's running the news, who's running this? It's Jewish people, right? Executives. And if you have Jewish executives, these Erev Rav, running around and telling people, well, you can't say this and you can't say that because it's racist, and we can't even have a conversation about the issues that we have with the other group of people. We can't even talk. We can't even do the same stuff that was done in the Spike Lee movies, Do the Right Thing, where people just literally sit on a stoop and air their grievances with the Korean guy and the Chinese guy and the Asian guy and the black guy and the Hispanic guy. We can't even have that conversation without driving our car back and forth on the street and making all kinds of noise. then and these are the Jewish, and I'm telling you guys, I'm calling out my Jewish brothers and sisters who are running these news organizations and these media companies, and who are producers of these shows and these movies and all these things that are basically created this PC culture where you're muzzling people, right? I'm telling you guys, we're gonna get blamed for this. If it's not gonna be the African American community that's gonna blame us for this, it's gonna be the I'm not even talking about white supremacists. I'm talking about like regular white people. They're gonna be like, yo, Sumner Redstone, what's your problem, bro? Why can't I say what I want to say? Why, as a comedian, why can't I get up and say what I want to say about this group and that group and the other group? Why are you muzzling me? Why can't we have this conversation? You realize it's going to lead to more and more racism if we don't have this conversation, right? Because America is sick. It's sick. What I mean is sick. It's ailing. It has an emotional and psychological problem. It hasn't been able to get over it. It hasn't been able to have what's called group therapy, because the powers that be don't want it to have group therapy, my friends. They don't want Americans to have group therapy. Again, group therapy involves sitting down and telling, a white guy telling a black guy what he thinks of the black community, or a black guy telling the white guy what he really thinks, or an Asian telling this what he really thinks. That's therapy. That's flushing everything out. And when you have that, when you put, like basically have the balls, essentially, have the beitzim to sit down and actually do that, the courage to actually do that as a nation, as a country, then you can start to heal. But if you can't do that, if you can't have a conversation, if you are all PC and politically correct, and you're afraid to, somebody's going to think you're racist, or you're afraid to, start. My friends, this is why we have what we have. America's about to have a race war because of the PC culture, dafka, because of it. Not because of what people say, but because of they're not allowed to say. the grievances they're not allowed to air out. And my friends, I'm telling you, the Jewish people in America are gonna bear the brunt of this whole thing, because we are on the forefront of this, could have been on the forefront of this conversation to open it up, and we weren't, or to at least give the floor for these things, and we weren't, and we're not, we're failing, and we're gonna get blamed for it. Actually, by white people, by you know, not all, but the non-Jewish population of America is gonna blame us. They're gonna blame the secular, so to speak, also the religious Jews, whatever. We're all together in this. So my friends, I mean, I'm telling you, you want to watch something really interesting and really, really enlightening and cool, I urge you, go on YouTube and Google and YouTube the Jackie Mason Show, and you can type in like race relations or whatever. Look, Jackie Mason Show, Al Sharpton. You guys will see some stuff, like people saying stuff to each other like nobody's business. I mean, you guys are like this and you guys are like that, and Jews are like this, and like my friends, I'll tell you something. You know, throughout this whole George Floyd thing, this happened in Minnesota, you know, the home state of Ilhan Omar. So what did she do? Her being the consummate politician that she is, the opportunist, she came out and said, you know, of course, Black Lives Matter, and this is a travesty, and this can only happen in whatever, Trump's America, stuff like that. So, in the spirit of airing things out, I just want to tell you, any of my friends who are watching this who are African American, I will just tell you this: you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right when you say Black Lives Matter. The only thing that I would say to the term Black Lives Matter is, you know, if Black Lives Matter, I challenge you guys to go and prove it. What do I mean by that? Stop shooting each other in the south side of Chicago. Stop shooting each other in South Central Los Angeles. Stop shooting each other in St. Louis. Stop shooting each other in Camden, New Jersey. Stop shooting each other in Newark. Stop shooting each other in Brooklyn. Stop shooting each other in Queens. Stop shooting each other in Florida. Stop shooting each other in I can keep naming all the murder capitals of America. In Washington D.C., in Baltimore. My friends, African Americans, I want you guys to succeed. I want you guys to live and to thrive. I want your unemployment rate to go even lower than it already is with the Trump administration. So, if Black lives do matter, start within your community. Make them matter. Stop shooting each other. Just stop shooting each other in your communities and make your lives mutual within your community. Make them matter. And then Black lives will, I promise you, I swear to you, I'm here sitting in Jerusalem, Yerushalayim, the city of God. It's not Rio, it's here, Jerusalem. I swear to you, if you guys prove to the world that Black lives truly do matter within your community, then Black lives will matter. And I guarantee you, you will never see another George Floyd incident again, or another Rodney King thing again. Because Black lives will matter, because it will have started with you internally, and then people looking on the outside looking in. I'm not justifying what happened today. I'm just telling you. I'm telling you. People on the outside looking in will never do a thing to you again, and Black lives truly will matter. They really will matter. As the minute you stop shooting each other in the south side of Chicago, and South Central Los Angeles, and in Camden, and Brooklyn, and in Philly, and in Baltimore, and D.C., and Florida, that'll be the end of that, my friends. But you know what? Apart from that, America really needs to have a conversation with itself, a very open and honest conversation. And if it doesn't have that conversation, my friends, oh, get ready. Get ready for some stuff. And to all my Jewish brothers and sisters, if I were you, I would really get out of the way of this. You know, I really would get out of the way. I would. You know, this shouldn't be a reason to make Aliyah, but you know what, guys? I think it's time. I really think it's time, because you know what? It's about to get scary. It really is about to get scary. All right, guys. Anyway, stay safe, and I'll catch you soon.